For the first 3 years of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, Kyiv's primary focus was survival. Ukraine had no choice but to adopt a defensive posture as Russia's advancing forces threatened to seize even more territory. The bravery and resilience of Ukraine's defenders played a pivotal role in halting Russia's momentum. However, while defense is crucial, it alone cannot secure victory. Ukrainian leadership understands this reality all too well. That is why, in 2025, Ukraine has launched a harsh new strategy designed to make life unbearable for ordinary Russians, aiming to pressure the Kremlin from within. This approach isn't about indiscriminate violence against civilians. That is a tactic used by Putin. Instead, Ukraine is targeting the very systems that sustain daily life in Russia, hoping to erode public support for the war and destabilize Putin's grip on power. It's important to clarify that Ukraine's strategy does not involve direct attacks on civilians. Unlike Russia, which has ruthlessly targeted civilian areas throughout the war, Ukraine is careful to avoid such tactics. Data from the United Nations underscores the brutality of Russia's approach. Between December 2024 and May 2025, Russian forces killed 968 Ukrainian civilians and injured nearly 5,000 more. This represented a staggering 37% increase in civilian casualties compared to the previous year. The assaults intensified in June, with large-scale drone attacks on Ukrainian cities, killing 232 people and injuring over 1,300 in a single month. The UN's Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine described the suffering as unprecedented since the war's outbreak. Despite having the capability to retaliate in kind, Ukraine refuses to mirror Putin's tactics. Instead, it has devised a smarter, more targeted approach that focuses on military and infrastructure objectives, while simultaneously making life in Russia increasingly difficult. Ukraine's new strategy, as detailed by journalist Stephen Silver in the National Security Journal, is to bring the war home to Russian civilians, not through direct violence, but by continuously disrupting their daily lives. The goal is to shatter the illusion that Putin's war is a distant conflict, irrelevant to the average Russian. Ukraine aims to make it impossible for Russian citizens to ignore the consequences of their leader's aggression. Moscow will be a primary target of these disruptions, but Ukraine is determined to spread its campaign across the entirety of Russia, signaling that no region is immune to the fallout of Putin's war. At the heart of this strategy are Ukraine's long-range drones, which are being deployed not just to strike military and oil facilities, but also to cause widespread travel chaos. Ukraine is leveraging Russia's vast geography against it. In a country as large as Russia, where long-distance travel is a necessity, even minor disruptions can create massive inconveniences and economic losses. Ukraine's drone strikes, while aimed at military assets, have the secondary effect of forcing airports to shut down temporarily. Every time Russian air defenses respond to an incoming drone, authorities are compelled to close airspace to avoid the catastrophic mistake of accidentally downing a civilian airliner. This tactic has proven remarkably effective. Reports indicate that since the beginning of the war, Russian airports have been forced to close at least 604 times. However, the vast majority of these closures, 75%, have occurred in 2025 alone, signaling a sharp escalation in Ukraine's campaign. Between 2022 and 2024, there were 149 airport shutdowns. In contrast, the first 6 months of 2025 saw 455 closures, highlighting how Ukraine has intensified its focus on crippling Russian air travel. The disruption isn't limited to mere statistics. For example, during a 3-day period from July 5th to July 7th, Ukraine's drone operations caused 88 flight diversions, delayed nearly 1,900 flights, and forced the cancellation of another 500. This affected approximately 400,000 passengers. Stories like that of Vladimir Shevchuk and his family, who were left stranded at Sheremetyevo Airport when their long-planned vacation to Turkey was abruptly canceled, bring a human face to the consequences of Ukraine's strategy. After a sleepless night on a cold airport floor, the Shevchuks learned that their flight had been postponed by an entire week, along with all the financial losses that entailed. While these inconveniences may seem minor compared to the horrors faced by Ukrainians under Russian bombardment, they are far from inconsequential. Every delayed flight, every canceled reservation, chips away at the financial stability of ordinary Russians. Accumulated over months, these disruptions drain thousands of dollars from families who are already grappling with a deteriorating economy. Moreover, the airlines themselves are taking massive financial hits. Between July 5th and 7th alone, Russian carriers lost an estimated $254 million due to flight disruptions. Every canceled flight can cost up to $284,000, while delays rack up losses of $19,000 every 4 hours. Ukraine's strategy is a slow, relentless economic strangulation. But Ukraine's attacks are not limited to drones alone. Cyber warfare has also entered the fray. On July 28th, a pro-Ukrainian hacking group named Silent Crow, working with Belarusian allies, conducted a cyber attack against Aeroflot, Russia's flagship airline. This attack led to the cancellation of 50 flights and delayed at least 10 more, inflicting millions of dollars in additional losses. This hacking incident mirrors the effects of drone strikes, massive disruptions, economic damage, and a stark reminder to Russians that the war is affecting them, even in their own cities. Ukraine's deep strike campaign is creating a vicious cycle for Russia. Each drone strike forces airport closures. Each closure disrupts thousands of lives and drains Russia's economy. Satellite imagery analysis revealed that between September 2024 and February 2025, Ukraine's deep strikes inflicted $714 million in damage on Russia's energy infrastructure. Additionally, a single strike on an ammunition depot in Toropets destroyed between 30,000 and 160,000 tons of ammunition, significantly depleting Russia's frontline supplies. These sustained attacks have cost Russia over $10 billion in damages in just the first 5 months of 2025, according to the Kyiv Independent. Russia's vast territory is now working against it. With air defenses stretched thin, Putin cannot possibly protect every square mile of the 2.7 million square miles of Russian land. Ukraine is exploiting these gaps to conduct ever deeper strikes, forcing more airport closures and compounding the economic strain. The problem is further exacerbated by Ukraine's ambitious drone production goals. President Zelensky announced plans to manufacture 30,000 long-range drones in 2025, ensuring that this campaign of disruption will not only continue but intensify. In response, Russia is scrambling for countermeasures. However, its options are limited. Putin's forces have already had to redeploy air defense systems from Asia, replacing them with decoys just to shore up defenses on the home front. Even then, more air defenses only exacerbate the problem by necessitating further airport closures during intercept missions. Russia's latest countertactic has been to shut down mobile internet networks across various regions, often for hours at a time. This is a desperate attempt to hinder Ukraine's drone navigation systems. But ironically, these shutdowns inflict further inconvenience on Russian civilians, many of whom rely solely on mobile networks for internet access. Unlike airports, which affect thousands, mobile internet shutdowns impact millions, further amplifying civilian frustration. Ukraine's ultimate goal is to force Russian citizens to confront the war's consequences in their own lives. Every closed airport and severed internet connection serves as a constant reminder of Putin's war. While Ukrainian leadership no longer harbors illusions of sparking a mass rebellion inside Russia, it hopes to apply relentless economic and social pressure. A November 2024 survey reported by the Journal of Democracy showed that 57% of Russians favored a ceasefire. However, Zelensky isn't banking on a popular uprising to depose Putin. Instead, Ukraine's leadership believes that the sheer financial toll of these disruptions, combined with Russia's existing economic troubles, will eventually make Putin's war unsustainable. With everyday Russians losing thousands of dollars, businesses hemorrhaging millions, and the government facing billions in losses, Ukraine's strategy is a war of attrition against Russia's financial stability. It's a battle designed not to conquer territory, but to erode the very foundation of Putin's power.